Briony Tallis, I'd like to talk now about your new novel, Atonement, which comes out in a few days to coincide with your birthday. It's your 21st novel.
It's my last novel.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special report.
This is Cheapseat Reviews.
Hello, and thank you for listening to Cheapseat Reviews, the podcast that explores the Hollywood film industry for the greater good.
The greater good.
Oh my gosh, that's not Sam. It's Andrew. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. I almost missed that because I'm usually let Sam do that, and I just it's not something I'm used to doing.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Sam's not here tonight. Not going to even just wait. Just going to let you know, Sam's not here. He got the second. We're recording a day late because he got the second vaccine shot yesterday, and we thought, well, if we give it him a day, he'll be fine. Well, apparently it's kicking his butt. So he's he's been asleep since about 4 p.m. It's now 8:30 p.m. as we record. So poor guy's just. He's doing his part to keep us all safe, but he's just, so it's just going to be me and two other wonderful people. So with all that having been said, this is episode 339, and tonight we're talking about Atonement. Atonement. This is a movie that I had never seen before, and I'm really excited to talk to you guys about it. I am Sean Allred, and joining me tonight is, of course, Andrew. Only swims in super deep fountains, Jemison.
I didn't think that a mint was a place they made tones. But
yeah, surprisingly. It's yeah.
Yeah. That was the worst dad joke I've told in about 3 weeks. Just hang with me tonight. I'm struggling.
No, you're fine. You're fine. That's great. Let's keep them coming. I want all of them. And Will double checks all his letters before sending them Triplett.
That's correct.
Oh.
Might be triple checks.
Oh, yeah. Well, gosh, definitely want to triple check. How you been, man? It's good to have you back on.
I've been good, man. I've been listening to you guys. You guys are doing a great job. Loving it. Loving the podcast. Loving to be back.
Oh, I appreciate that. That's very sweet, even though it's a lie. No, I'm just teasing. No, so I've been doing this podcast. We've been doing this. Andrew's been with us since episode 100, basically. We've been doing this show for 7+ years, and I'm still constantly looking to find ways to improve and whatever. And I recently read an article where in the intro, the intro needs to be shorter. So you guys will definitely notice that the intro is different. It's going to be shorter. It's just the way it is. The second thing is that I'm supposed to tell you why you should be listening to us specifically. I'm actually supposed to intro my resume, I guess, as to why we are authorities on this subject. So I will start by simply saying I am a fan of movies. I've been a fan of film. And since I was a kid, I grew up as an only child, and I had many a summer, not quite like the cable guy where I turned homicidal and weird, but like the cable guy, a lot of my time was spent in front of the TV. And I also had the brief pleasure of working with such fine people like Will on a TV show, and I've done a handful of films as well, all very low budget, and it was a lot of fun to do, and so there's my resume, and I'm going to let Andrew give us his resume.
I am also a huge fan of film, and my wife and I have, well, at least when we started dating, we started a very bad habit and became an addiction, and we bought a DVD pretty much every month, and for the past 20 years that we've known each other, it's been about that. And so it became worse and worse and worse. And so we love film. We love to watch movies. And I am a teacher, so my expertise is in sharing knowledge with others. And so that's what I plan to do.
That's cool, man. That works. That's great. Will, I mean, again, to put you on the spot, I didn't tell you I was going to do this, but why would I invite the likes of the brilliant person that is you, Will, onto the show?
I have no clue.
Oh, okay.
No, honestly, I'm along the same mindset. I started in theater when I was in about the 9th grade, did 27 plays in high school, went on to major at a top 10 theater college, turned that into a, professional career, and then turned that into director and screenwritership. And it's always been a big thing for me to kind of draw from other people's work. And I don't think that's plagiarism. I think that's what everybody in our business does and needs to do. If we can pay homage to somebody at any turn, that's respect. And if somebody did it to me, I would feel respect from it. So that's why I'm here. It's been 20 years. I'm still in the business, and it's a hard business, but I wouldn't change my life for the world.
Awesome. I appreciate that. I know, again, like I said, I sprung that on both of you, and but I just thought it'd be kind of fun to do that before we jump into this, frankly, kind of hard and heavy movie. So yeah. I wanted to do a little bit of fun there at the beginning.
Well, I do want to pass out there that my skills are better used as a color commentator, to be honest. So I don't really know much about anything. I just like to pretend.
Well, I mean,
even the subject I teach, I pretty much fake it until I make it. Yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah, I think actually, Andrew, that's actually the mantra of most politicians too, is that they don't really know anything, but they like to comment on things, and there you go.
Me and Andrew will run on a ticket together. We'll be fine.
Yeah, I like it. That's a ticket I can get behind. Those two nice beards. That'd be a really good looking poster. It'd be great. Okay, so this movie, 2007's Atonement. Now, if you're listening to this show because Will said, "Hey, I'm on this episode, you should listen. We're so glad to have you, and we'd love you to stay." If you're a normal listener of the show, you're thinking, "Why would you do such a heavy film?" And I'll tell you why. This idea for this movie literally came because Will asked the question on Facebook, a month and a half, 2 months ago, saying, "Hey, what was your favorite movies of 2020?" And I threw out one of the movies that I really loved of 2020 was Extraction. Again, I like the explosion chase scene kind of movies. And if you're unfamiliar with my love of that movie, go back and listen to the episode we did for it, because I just adore that movie. And I mentioned in my comment, my post, that there is a very long, Andrew, it's like 12, 13 minutes, I think is what it is.
Yeah.
Like what they call a one cut, right? It's one seamless cut. Now there are cuts in the shot, but they hide it so well you can't tell where they are. And so it's not a true one cut, but it feels like 13 minutes of one long cut. And what makes it so great is that it goes from in cars and out of cars and indoors and out of doors. And that's hard. Will definitely knows that that's hard to do, especially with cameras, because you have to change the way light comes into the camera. You have to change the iris and all those things. There's a lot of moving parts, and they're doing it on the fly, which is really, really great. So I mentioned that, and Will says, well, Atonement has one of my favorite single shots ever. And I said, I've never seen Atonement. And he said, well, then we're going to do it when I come on the podcast. And so I said, absolutely. So here we are, 2007's Atonement. Now that I've given all that fun backstory. Atonement, again, 2007, is the rundown, according to IMDb. 13-year-old fledgling writer, Briony. I heard her name 1,000 times. Why can't I say it?
Briony Tallis.
Thank you. Irrevocably changes the course of several lives when she accuses her older sister's lover of a crime he did not commit. So, yeah, there you go. Stars Keira Knightley, James McAvoy, and I was super surprised to see Benedict Cumberbatch show up in this.
Benedict Cumberbatch, Saoirse Ronan.
Yeah.
Who you just said. She plays Briony. Gosh, this is going to be
in the second act and third. Well, no, third act. It's second act. Saoirse Ronan.
Yes.
From Brooklyn.
Really?
No, not from Brooklyn, but from the movie Brooklyn. You remember the film Brooklyn that was nominated for Best Picture in 2016?
I'm looking at it now, and yes, I do remember it. Had you not said that, I would have just assumed you were still talking about the city.
No.
But she plays Hannah in the movie Hannah, which I have seen about half of.
Okay.
Which is a lot of fun. Again, it's a super violent action kind of a thing.
We're okay with that.
Yeah. And she's really good at it because she plays that kind of... It's kind of the same kind of character, little... emotionally cut off, little confused about things, but she also knows how to kill you with a fork. So a little bit different, I guess, than her character here. Also, the kid that everybody hates from Game of Thrones. It was kind of funny to see him show up.
Who? Which one?
Alfie Allen.
That's Lily Allen, the British pop star's brother. Who is, oh God, what's his character's name in Game of Thrones?
Andrew, you remember it?
I don't watch Game of Thrones. I've never seen it.
Okay. Well, you're fine. Sam would be all over it. Theon Greyjoy? Theon Greyjoy?
Yes, Theon Greyjoy.
Theon. I am bad with names tonight. My gosh. This is directed by Joe.
I've only seen one episode of Game of Thrones, and I was in a German hotel in Rotenburg, Germany, excuse me. And it was the only thing on at the wee hours of the morning. And it was the episode where, I don't know the actress's name, but she's walking through the street completely naked and they're shaming her.
Shame.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the only episode I've ever seen.
Shame.
It's, I actually have seen that.
Talking about Cersei? When she's walking, she's getting...
I guess that was her name. I honestly have no idea.
Yeah, Cersei Lannister is the character name. I can't think of her real name. She played Mama in Dread.
It's Lena Headey.
Lena Headey. That's right. We've seen her in several Cheap Seat Reviews movies. She was in 300. We got to see her very naked in 300. And like I said, she was in Dread. Might be something else I can't think of off the top of my head. But this director has done many things, many things. So he did some TV for a little while, and then he did Pride and Prejudice, which also starred Keira Knightley.
Right, yeah.
And then he did this movie, and then he did The Soloist, which...
Soloist that's great with Robert Downey. Actually, very underrated. Robert Downey Jr. and Jamie Foxx.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Jamie Foxx is good in it.
I've not seen it, but I heard many good things, but I didn't see it. Just missed it. It's got Stephen Root in it. That's great. So then he does Hannah, and then the next year was Anna Karenina. I think I added too many N's in that. And then he did Pan in 2015, which was objectively bad. That was a bad movie, but that's okay. And then he does The Darkest Hour. The biopic on the cigar drinking, what's his name? He doesn't drink cigars. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that would be a little strange.
This would be interesting.
Yeah, you melt him down. Gosh, dang it. Gary Oldman played Winston Churchill. It's the Winston Churchill biopic. Good gosh. This is going to be a bad
Winston Churchill,
episode.
the cigar drinker.
Yeah.
Where are my cigars? I really need to drink.
I'm dehydrated.
Hand me my cigars, please. I need someone to come and read me Winnie the Pooh while I drink cigars.
If no one else is entertained, at least we are.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, this is great. I missed that he did Atonement between Pride and Prejudice and The Soloist. So he's had a pretty good career, and he likes the period pieces there. He likes the.
He does.
Yeah. And
for the
he does
record,
them pretty well.
And I don't know if I expressed this to you, but for me personally, 2007, other than maybe 99, is the greatest year of movies of my lifetime. The Best Picture nominees were There Will Be Blood, No Country for Old Men, Juno, Atonement, and Michael Clayton. And that's a solid lineup. We haven't had a lineup like that in a good long while.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
No Country for Old Men. I love that one.
It's a great film.
Juno's good too.
Yeah, it was just interesting. Yeah, we've done 2 of the 5 for the podcast because we did Juno a while back. A friend of the show basically she said, I want to come on the show and do Juno. And I said, well, it's never streaming. And she said, I will pay you the money to rent it. And so we did. We did the Juno. And thanks to Juno, Andrew knows I'm about to play. Thanks to Juno, I have this clip forever.
And I'm going to punch that Bleecker kid in the wiener next time I see him.
There you go. So, yeah, Juno's great.
Is there a movie he's not in?
Oh, J.K. Simmons?
J.K. Simmons. Is there a movie that dude isn't in?
I don't know. He needs to be in more.
I wish he was in more.
Yeah, that's the thing. Speaking of J.K. Simmons.
Another one we should do, not to get off track, but we should definitely do Whiplash if you guys haven't done it already.
We have not.
Oh, my gosh. Oh,
what an amazing movie and great performance.
Yeah, we don't do a lot of great movies. Just be honest, we don't. We end up doing a lot of not great movies. But I think 2021 I would argue 2021 has been pretty good. I think so far on our movie list. I think we've had some pretty good ones. We've had some bad ones. Don't get me wrong, but we started off pretty good with we did The American President, which is a really good movie. Hidden Figures, which we really liked. Ma Rainey's Black Bottom was great. And then of course The Last Dragon. I mean, that's it right there. So
is that the Reina and the Last Dragon or whatever it is?
No, we did. So for Black History Month, we did 4 films that feature as the lead, black actors. And so our first movie we did was Gemini Man with Will Smith fighting Will Smith. And it was actually pretty good. I think we liked it. It wasn't great, but I thought it was fun Will Smith action. And then we did The Hidden Figures and Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. And then the last one was The Last Dragon, was from 87. It's
somewhere in there.
It's like Bruce. It's called like Bruce Leroy, right? It's not black exploitation, but it's all the good guys are black and the bad guys are white, and he knows kung fu. So anyway, and we also got some good stuff coming up next week. We've got another good one. I think it's another good one. We have Road to Perdition next week. So
Sam Mendes in the house.
yeah, looking forward to that. So Road to Perdition.
Have you guys watched it before?
Yeah, I have. I own it on DVD.
My favorite cinematographer of all time, Conrad L. Hall, won that cinematography Oscar posthumously. He had won 3 Oscars. First one was for Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Second one was for American Beauty. And his last one, after he died, was for Road to Perdition. Great movie.
See, this is literally why we have you on the podcast, Will. This is why, right here.
Why?
This is good stuff. Like, I would never have thought to research that. This is great.
Yeah, we can't drop that another.
Well,
Yeah, no.
yeah. He's listen. I'm a fan of people
Well,
I'm a fan of, and the people I'm not a fan of, I'm not a fan of. So I don't know anything about them.
That's fine.
Let's put it this way: we could drop that kind of knowledge, but it would take research. And that's something we don't do here.
Yeah, no, yeah. My
This is why it's cheap seat.
Yeah.
Right?
No, you're learning. There you go. You're learning. My 20 minutes of Googling before the podcast is about as close to the research as I get. That's not entirely true, but a lot of times it is. I did a little bit more of a deep dive on this movie in particular, mainly because I wanted to do my homework for our guest, and not look like an idiot. But most of the time, like if we're doing The Last Dragon, yeah, it's 20 minutes of Googling beforehand. I'm actually still. I know we haven't done our 5-word review, and we've barely talked about this movie, but I'm still kind of interested in this idea that 2007 and 1999 are your greatest movies years of film in your lifetime. I find that really interesting. Yeah, I don't know if we want to.
93 and 94 are right there too. I mean, I was born in 83.
Yeah, and most, I would say most people, the few people that I've talked to, I like to make the argument that 84 is probably the best year in about a 20-year span.
Let me rephrase. Of my lifetime that I can remember.
That's fair.
What I saw in the theater.
Yeah.
93 was really, really good. 94 was really, really good. 99 with American Beauty, American History X, those obviously go hard.
And The Matrix.
Yeah, Matrix, too. Yeah, absolutely. And then 2007, I just love all those movies that were nominated for Best Picture. I thought they were great.
I don't know if you do the thing that I do, but I remember dates by movies. So, like, my son was born the year that Avengers came out. Like, those are the weird things I think of. You know, when we were working together, that was the year Serenity came out. The year I graduated high school. Oh crap! What came out that year? I can't remember now. Well, it was the year after The Matrix. Like, I always kind of associate those types of things. They're like my point of demarcation for some reason. That's just the way it kind of works in my brain. But anyway, I'm trying to think. What
are your favorite years?
Favorite years of movies? Mine? I mean, I was born in 82. I have a soft spot for, I'm not researched very well in front of me, but 82 is a good year for me. It also has one of my favorite movies in Star Trek, The Wrath of Khan, but there's also a bunch of other really good movies that year, like Raiders of the Lost Ark, and I can't think of anything else off my top of my head. 93, again, I'm with you with, right, 93 was Shawshank, Forrest Gump, and Jurassic Park, right? Or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And 94 had Philadelphia at Forrest Gump.
Okay, Forrest Gump was 94.
So we were in a real golden age.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if it wasn't for the fact that Forrest Gump was so good, Shawshank should have won. Right?
Oh yeah. Definitely.
And then the other argument is, if it wasn't for the fact that those were so good, Pulp Fiction should have won. You know,
right? I mean, it was right there.
Yeah,
I feel like that Quentin Tarantino director Oscar was kind of just like we didn't give it to you for so long, so here you go. Once upon a time in Hollywood, have fun.
Well, yeah, I don't disagree. And I also know that Hollywood loves movies about Hollywood. Yeah, you know, like, you're muted. I can see you talking, though.
Like that movie?
Do what? I haven't seen Once Upon a Time. I haven't seen it yet. Honestly, and you might rip through the Skype here and punch me in the face. I don't really love Tarantino. I think he's fine. I have been called un-American for not thinking Pulp Fiction is the greatest movie in the world, because I think it's fine.
Out of here.
I don't love it.
It's not even his best movie.
Yeah.
It's not. His best movie is decidedly Inglourious Bastards, in my opinion, but
Definitely, yeah.
And I appreciate it for how great it is, and I also don't like it. But that's my own issues.
I'm not a Tarantino fan either.
Yeah. I know.
About the most fun I get out of Tarantino is watching Kill Bill.
That is a lot of fun.
That's it.
Yeah.
Well, let's get on track. Let's talk about Atonement. I want to hear what you guys thought.
Yeah, man. So we'll do our 5-word review here, and since Sam's not here to go first, Andrew, I'm going to let you go first.
Okay, I've got 2 5-word reviews. The first one we've kind of already said, which was best one shot in film. In my opinion, I think it really is one of the most well done one shots that I've ever seen. And I was sitting there watching, and sometimes we see them in film and we don't realize that that's what it is. We don't think about it being one. This one, I watched it and thought to myself, we have not seen the camera cut away. We haven't seen it cut at all. And, this entire Dunkirk scene, really. And I was like, oh, man, this is really, really well done. So that's my first 5-word. The other one is, I had to use a conjunction to make this one work, but I'm glad I have sons. This little girl, Briony, you don't really know whether to feel sorry for her or to just hate her guts. Like, you don't know whether you want to. I don't know. At times I wanted to jump through the screen and strangle her, but at other times I thought, she's just a kid. She's innocent. She doesn't know what she doesn't know, and traumatic scenes can sometimes cause people to think weird things. And when you're growing up and you're sheltered, then there could be an incident where you see something that you only know what you know, and so you have to connect it to that, and you don't really understand what's happening in a situation. But I thought that everyone did a great job in this. All the actors were just really good. She was fantastic. Keira Knightley, I have always thought is really good in everything she does. I love her in Pride and Prejudice. My wife, that's her favorite movie. And I have to say, as much as I don't want to admit that it's a good film and I like watching it, because I guess I consider it kind of a chick flick, but I do. I mean, it's really, really well done. And she's fantastic. It's well done,
Andrew, but it is so boring and droll. It's like it's like a score to get through.
Yeah. And I guess maybe one reason I'm partial to it is because, in birthing rooms now, women can have movies playing when their children are born, and that was playing while my son was born, my first child. So it kind of has a special place there. But so on top of that, the score to this, I love the use of the typewriter in the score.
Yes, that's my first note.
Mine too.
Yeah, it got a little. It got a little irritating, here and there. Like, I thought, okay, can we think of something different? But at the same time, I still liked it a lot, and it reminded me of the song "The Typewriter" by Leroy Anderson. So yeah. So there we are. That's my 2 cents.
Okay, great. I can't remember, Will, if I prepped you or not. Did you have a 5-word review for this?
I do, and mine's a little bit funny, and it's gonna require a little bit of backstory.
Okay.
When we pushed the recording a day, you said that's okay because I'm still emotionally compromised. And my response to you was, it'll do that to you. And I realized that was 5 words, nice. And I decided to go with that. It'll do that to you.
Yeah.
Because this movie will affect and hurt and break you down in every way that it possibly can. And every single time that it takes you to the point where you think you're being uplifted, you get let down again. So yeah, it'll do that to you. That's my 5 words.
It'll do that to you. That's great. No, that's actually super appropriate. And I'll maybe I'll say it. I'll go into detail later, or maybe not. But what happens when I'm doing these, when I usually end up having to watch part of the movie twice. Right? I'll watch it the first time, sit down with my wife, and then the second time is when I'm going back to pull clips for the show. And sometimes I get, I pick up things I miss, and sometimes now I understand that, whatever. Because usually when I'm watching it the first time, I'm trying to absorb whereas the second time, I'm listening for a certain thing. And with that being said, when I mentioned to you I'm emotionally compromised, it wasn't like that I was like weeping or whatever. The movie at the end, I was angry. The only emotion I could express was anger and frustration. I was legitimately pissed at the end of the movie. And if we would have recorded last night, I probably would have said things like, I kind of hate this movie, but it's brilliant. Which I've said before about Wolf of Wall Street. I hate that movie, but it's wonderful. Like, it's a great movie, but I never want to watch it because it makes me feel bad for the human race,
It's making me feel every way that I don't want to feel.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to root for this guy. I want him to crash his Lamborghini in a tree or something like that, as long as his kids are okay, right, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want him to be successful and happy. And so I was feeling some of those emotions. Now, second time, getting a little bit of the intro clip and some other stuff, watching it at the end, I felt sorrow and pain this time. And I thought, oh, maybe this is what I was supposed to feel the first time, or maybe I was supposed to feel the way that I felt, and now that I know the whole story, and then I go back and I hear these words again, it changes the meaning a little bit. But I'm still kind of pissed at the.
I think the thing that hits the thing that hits me is when you get to the elder Briony Tallis, and you can see the remorse, and it's not in her voice, it's not in her eyeballs, it's just in her face, it's in her body language. Like, she is broken by what she did. She's had to live her entire life knowing that she ruined her sister and her sister's best friend's lives. And that's the hard part. That's really the hard part. And Joe Wright kind of flips the script a little bit when he has James McAvoy go to Keira Knightley's apartment when she's a nurse in downtown. And Briony shows up and you think that everything's going to be okay. And then it's just not.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing for me. I don't know if you guys know Darren Cianfrance, but he made a film called The Place Behind the Pines with Ryan Gosling, Eva Mendes. Great movie. But it really flipped Bradley Cooper's in it as well. Really flipped the 3-act structure. And one of the notes that I made on this movie was it's really a 3-act structure kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Even if the third act is only 5 minutes, it's very separated. There's this, and then there's this, and then there's this. And I love that. I think it's beautiful.
Yeah, I can't disagree with those words. So my 5-word review, I did 2, mainly because I had a good feeling Sam wasn't going to join us tonight. So Sam usually does 2, and usually one of his is pretty funny. So I tried to emulate that. So my first one was most fun had at library. I couldn't use proper grammar to make it work for 5, but most fun had at most fun had Yeah, at library. Yeah. And then the other one I wrote was, I'm using the word station, not as a physical place, but the hierarchy of how you're perceived in life in British culture. If that makes sense. I'm using that word, that meaning of station, not the weird creatures from Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. Station. Station matters more than love. Was my other one. So,
yeah,
there you go.
You know, I did think about while I was watching this, yeah, and to kind of backtrack a minute, maybe I'm just heartless or soulless, and I didn't. Teaching public school might have done this to me. I don't know, but I didn't really get all the emotions that you guys are talking about. Like I didn't have a strong sense of anger. I mean, I saw it, and I knew the story and knew what was happening, but I just didn't feel it. And I don't know if maybe I was in the wrong mood to watch the movie. I don't know, but it just didn't hit me. And the sadness that I should have probably felt when I found out that both of them are dead and they never got to, spoiler, they never got to be together. I don't know. Maybe I'm heartless. But I was going somewhere with this, and I've lost my train of thought now. Well, anyway.
Yeah, no worries.
Well, I think to touch on your point, I can understand what you're saying, and a part of that is because the 3-act format and the way that they're doing things is so off kilter. It's not rooted in any type of filmatic normalcy that we have watched our entire life. So maybe you get separated from that. I don't know. Maybe you do.
Maybe, but I remember as I was watching it, feeling that I really enjoyed, or thinking that I really enjoyed the way that they had done the film, because it was so different, and it didn't follow that same formula, and so I did appreciate that in some senses. But I don't know. I just emotionally, it didn't do anything for me. When we watched like Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, that moved me a lot more.
Well, me too, for sure.
Yeah. And there's something else we watched recently.
And I'm sorry, I'm going to have to interrupt. Can we talk about the fact that we now know Chadwick Boseman was dying while he was doing that screaming scene to God? Yeah. Where's your God now? Where's your God now? Like, if that's not honesty and work, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, that was a powerful performance.
It was.
He should win everything. That scene really hit me because he did not tell anybody he was sick.
Yeah.
And he's standing there shooting that movie, looking at his counterpart saying, "Tell me about your God. Where was he for me? Where was he for me? Where was he for me?" And you're watching that performance and you're going, this is not a performance. He really wants to know.
Yeah.
Where was this God for me?
Yeah. You're going to make me cry all over again just thinking about that movie, that scene. Back to this movie and talking about the unconventionalness of the storytelling. There's one of my notes was Christopher Nolan would be proud of the time jumps because this movie isn't truly linear. You know, we go from point A, point B, and then we see C, or we see F, G, H, and then we go back to see how we get to there with C, D, and E. I think that alphabet works. And I really, really loved it. I really loved that storytelling method because, I don't know, I kind of like it a little bit, not all the time, but I kind of like it when the storyteller is ahead of me a little bit as the audience. Mm-hmm. Whereas I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like sometimes when I'm the audience, I kind of like not knowing exactly what's about to happen because it does create a little bit of tension and a little bit of anticipation. And I think that's great because for a movie that is like this, I mean, it's not a rom-com, but it's a romantic drama. I was on the edge of my seat for a lot of it, for a lot of this movie, which is unusual, honestly, for me. I felt the anxiousness in this movie that I don't usually feel.
Some suspense there, definitely. Another movie that I think does this pretty well is Knives Out. Does the same kind of storytelling.
Yeah. Oh, what a good movie.
Oh yeah.
That's a really good movie. I love that movie too. Okay. So I want to talk about something funny for just a moment, and then we're going to go back to the serious. Benedict Cumberbatch in this movie is great, and I am so glad I watched this movie after having seen him in Sherlock and Doctor Strange, because I think I would have been kind of pissed at him had I seen this movie first and then those movies and those things. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because good God, what a horrific person that he is portraying.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, gosh. I just when he used the phrase, I didn't copy it, but when he says you have to bite it, he's talking about the chocolate. I was like, oh my gosh, you were so creepy. Oh, but so good at being creepy.
But so good at it. Yeah,
he
was so good at that line.
Yeah.
You have to bite it.
Oh, very good delivery. Yeah. So are we led to believe, and maybe I missed this, but that he is in a romantic relationship with her brother? Or are they just friends?
I think they're just buddies.
He marries the redhead.
Well, I know he does eventually, but I wondered when we first see the two of them together, I kind of got a vibe, but I wasn't certain.
Maybe there was a little something else there. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't pick up on that.
I didn't think that either, but I will rewatch.
Well, going back to my point about on a rewatch, the one thing I noticed this time that I didn't before, so when they're sitting down by the lake and Cecilia, by the way, I had to watch this with subtitles. I could not understand half the people in this movie. I just can't. As I'm getting older, I'm getting worse with accents. I just am. So I had to watch this with subtitles, which I'm really, really glad that I did, because they kept calling her C, and I never understood if they were using like the letter C, because they don't use her name Cecilia for a long time. So it was really confusing. Anyway, again, that's just me.
But you know what helps with that is to drink cigars.
It's
Yes.
not bad. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, you're right. So the scene where they're down there by the lake, and he says something. He's talking about, well, the upcoming potential conflict and whatever. And she's drinking something or whatever, and she says, "This is not good. This tastes bad." And then he leans over and says, "Oh, I make a wonderful drink with chocolate and things and whatever." And she kind of rolls her eyes at him as if to say, "I'm not interested in what you say." I didn't notice it the first time, but on the second time, the look he gives her is basically like, in his mind, he goes, "Okay, she's not into me, done. I'm going to move on." Like he's checking her off in his mind, like, all right, I have no interest in her. And it's not until the redhead says, "I like your shoes," and gives him, attention, is when he starts turning the weird, creepy on towards her.
And she's trying to play the game.
Yeah, she is. Oh yeah, she absolutely is. She's 100% flirting with him, giving him the whole like head down but looking up at him, and then she does a weird thing where she's grabbing onto the pole that's physically separating them, but it kind of squats down a little bit. There's a lot of sexual tension in there, and of course my wife says he's like 15 years older than her. And I said, yes, in real life, maybe not in the movie, I don't know, but there is an age difference there.
Those things happen.
They do a lot, especially, and we've commented before on the podcast, especially like in Hollywood, not Hollywood couples, real life couples, which does happen in real life, but like in movies, it's okay for Javier Bardem to be married to Jennifer Lawrence. It's just.
Wait, is that real?
It's in a movie called Mother. It makes sense in the context.
Gotcha.
Makes sense in the context of the movie after you find out what the context of the movie is.
But Javier Bardem's like 47 and Jennifer Lawrence is like 24.
Yeah, exactly.
Who really cares?
Yeah. Anyway.
So what's the overall the over-under on the film? Everybody feel really good about it?
You want to jump on that, Andrew?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I got to unmute. Yeah. I was talking and no one could hear me. I'm kind of at a place that I'm glad that I watched it for the artistry, from the artistic standpoint of the film. I really appreciate it. As far as, is it enjoyable enough for me to go and watch again? Rewatchability, I don't know. I mean, there are certain parts that I kind of want to see again, just to, make sure that I have all my facts straight on the story, and also to just experience the cinematography again. But it's not going to make my top 10 list anytime soon.
Yeah, I'm sadly, I don't know if sadly is the right word, but I do kind of feel the same as that. And I mentioned earlier, like, the movie, forced me to have emotions that I don't always want to have, which is good, right? You're supposed to experience things with a movie. You're supposed to have emotions. Will I watch this again? Probably only if someone asks me to watch it. I probably won't say, hey, wife, come over here, let's get some popcorn and watch this thing again, because it's not that kind of movie. But it's really, really good, and I am glad we watched it for the show.
Mm-hmm.
And I am,
yeah.
And Will, you're right. Now, again, Andrew mentioned it earlier, the Dunkirk scene, and I want to go there for a little while. This Dunkirk scene. Have you seen the movie Dunkirk, Will?
Yeah.
I thought it was good. I didn't love it. I thought
Sam Mendes, right?
No, that's Christopher Nolan.
Nolan, yeah. From what, 2019?
Sure. I don't know. 2019, 2018, I can't remember. It was supposed to be the next this big war epic, and
the pissing on the tree and all of that.
I don't know. I didn't love the movie. I thought it was frankly kind of boring to be a World War II movie about one of the greatest heroic achievements in, war history. It felt like there was just a lot of people standing around on a beach. And
right.
And in this movie, this scene of Dunkirk, you realize that it's not just men standing on a beach. There's a lot of stuff going on in this shot. There's people singing and crying and dying and drinking and living and laughing.
And looping around to see them crying and drinking and blah, blah. Like, they did that one time. It was a 3-day setup. And they did it once.
Yeah, we're here. I'm going to go ahead and read. So this is what I found about it. Shooting the 5-minute Dunkirk beach scene was arguably the toughest portion of the shoot. The shooting schedule dictated that the scene must be completed in 2 days because the crew had limited time with the 1,000 extras. However, the location scouts reported that the lighting quality at the beach was not good enough until the afternoon of the second day. This forced director Joe Wright to change his shooting strategy into shooting with one camera. The scene was rehearsed on the first day and on the morning of the second. The scene required 5 takes. The third take was used in the movie. On shooting, Steadicam operator Peter Robertson shot the scene by riding on a small tracking vehicle, walking off to a bandstand after rounding a boat, moved to a ramp, stepped onto a rickshaw, and finally dismounting and moving past the pier into a bar.
It's crazy. That's to do, with a day of planning, basically, and then a day of shooting. Well, not even a full day.
An afternoon.
An afternoon. That's amazing that you can.
It's arguably the greatest shot in film history.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
Arguably. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are a lot of other really good ones.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be privy to, paying them their attention, but this one is special. It's very special.
It's special because like I draw back to Extraction because that's kind of what led us here. Extraction is one note, right? It's action, constant, nonstop action in your face, whatever, right? Like we're seeing one note, and it's a great note. It's a really, really good note. Whereas this movie is showing us a full orchestra, right? We're not getting just one note. We're getting
That's a great way to put it, actually.
Yeah, we're getting so much
We're
layers.
getting the symphony.
Yeah.
We're not getting the, just the celloist.
Yeah.
But we're getting the symphony.
Yeah. Yeah, like if to keep with this metaphor, really, I think Extraction is the hair band electric guitar soloist guy. And then this is like we're watching the New York Philharmonic right here. Like it's just this I mean, it's beautiful from the sunset to the just if you haven't watched this movie, you should. I do think this is one of the movies that I would definitely recommend that you watch and pay close attention because, again, Will, we watched this partly because of that scene. So when it started, I knew instantly that we were here. And so it was just, I'm watching it on my 65-inch TV, just loving every second of it because I knew it was coming. So this is my argument, pro spoilers, that sometimes it's good to know something that's coming ahead of time. Not saying all spoilers are great. I'm just saying sometimes,
it's okay.
It's okay because I knew that this scene was coming, and so therefore I was waiting for it and ready for it. And then when it hit me, it's like, oh my gosh, it was so good.
But let me rebut that for a moment. Not knowing anything about this movie because you and I hadn't talked, I didn't know this scene was coming, and to me, this was a beautiful surprise. I had no clue that this scene was upon me. And when I saw it, I was in awe of just how well it was done. And then to find out the background, the history of that in the trivia, I was blown away.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've always said that a piece of art, it's a good piece of art if it makes you feel something. And just because I didn't necessarily feel the emotions that you guys felt in this movie made me feel something because of how well it was done. And so in a different way, in my opinion, this is still a wonderful piece of art.
Oh yeah, I totally agree. Okay, so I'm going to move along because I could probably spend another good 6 or 7 minutes just talking about this scene and telling you, the listeners, how jealous I am that I've never been able to be a part of something that remotely spectacular. I've been a part of some fun things film wise, but was never in the budget for anything like that. I'll just be honest. Some of the last few notes I'm gonna rattle through before we get to clips, and if you guys have anything that sparks any other notes you guys have you want to throw out, now's the time. One of my first notes, other than the typewriter music, was "Context is for kings." That's an old quote, and it was used most recently in an episode of Star Trek, the new series, and I just love that phrase, "Context is for kings," meaning. Because Briony doesn't get the context of what she's seeing, therefore she acts the way she does, and I don't know. It made me feel a certain way about that. Let's see. Second viewing, I noticed. I said that. Sorry. Is this the 1935's version of accidentally sending a dick pic? I think is what I put. Let's
see. Yes. Yeah, 100%. That's exactly what it is.
It happened less frequently then. But yes.
Why did I never think of that?
Yeah, if there was a way I could make that the name of the episode, I would, but I don't think I'm willing to put that on the name of the
I
episode.
don't think we're going to do well if we do that.
No, I don't think so.
It's just D ampersand asterisk. There you go.
I can't with y'all.
Let's see. I did write about halfway through my notes, this movie is going to stress me out.
Also good.
So here's a note that I noticed. I thought this was great. So as the sound guy of this podcast, though Will might argue otherwise, having worked with me, that I noticed things, especially in sound design, more than maybe some or others. And there was a really great moment when the two of them are having the lunch together before he ships off and she's about to leave, and it's kind of an awkward conversation. It's like they're, I don't know, kind of meeting back for the first time before they have to separate. And it's a noisy restaurant. And then when the camera pushes in on them, all of the sound falls away. And it's just the two of them. And I noticed it as it was happening, and I thought it was just really lovely that it was a director choice to say, these other people now no longer matter. It's about these two. And I don't care if it takes you, quote unquote, out of the film because we don't hear them. They're not important. What's important is what's right in front of us. And I love that. I thought it was very, very wonderful.
We're staying at home. We're staying at home with our story.
Yeah.
And we're going to give you the vibrance of the world. But when that needs to go, that needs to go.
Yeah. Yeah. I did like the cool shot of the planes in the river. I thought that was a neat way to establish that they are still, in fact, in a war zone without having the camera look up at the sky or have them say something like, hey, there's planes. Like we got this. It's a subtle way.
Maybe I read this. I think I read this, that was actually, if the planes had been flying at the level they were in the reflection, you would have seen them in the sky in the shot.
Yeah.
I think I read that somewhere.
Yeah, they would have been buzzing the tower, basically. But it was still a cool shot, and I didn't care. Because
it was cool.
That river was like 3.5 feet wide, and you could see 3 planes in it. So, yeah. But it's fine. I didn't care. A dirtier, less imminent death side of Dunkirk. That was another right. Let's see. Damn, that head nurse sent her in there to watch him die. I thought that was a tough scene when Nurse Briony had to go in there and hold that man's hand until he died, basically.
Okay, sorry, I got to pause right here.
Yeah.
I said that this movie didn't make me feel emotions, but it did. And it was in this scene when she's walking through the hospital with all these patients. I think maybe it just caught me off guard. I didn't expect to see all these war wounds, in this hospital. And they were pretty graphic. Like, I didn't expect to see, I've seen worse, we've seen graphic films before, but this just really kind of caught me when she removes his bandage, and it really got me when you just see brain there and blood, and that whole section of this movie, that one did it, again. I wasn't extremely emotional, but I was caught off guard and a little bit queasy.
Yeah. I'm with you. So, yeah, I was trying to judge in the moment if the nurse sent her there to watch him die I couldn't tell if it was for either because Briony has kind of come across as very cold and aloof and distant, and so I didn't know if that nurse sent her there to put some humanity in front of her, or she just wanted to punish her.
Yeah, I kind of felt the same way. And I felt more like she was trying to punish her because she'd already had the incident where she had, gotten a little too personal with a patient who was calling her Briony, asking for Briony, and not, what was her last name again?
Nurse Tallis. Nurse Tallis, wasn't it? What was last name?
That's
Tallis,
what
right?
it was. Nurse Tallis.
Briony Tallis.
Tallis, yeah.
Yeah.
Again, names. I'm broken tonight. So, yeah, no, it was a powerful scene. It was because you don't expect that moment, right? When you pull the bandage off and see brain matter, like you're not expecting it. It just it smacked you in the face, like whatever smacked him in the head. Sorry. The last note that I have, which is actually from my wife, so it's the scene after Briony is leaving their apartment, right? He's made it back from the war. They have the confrontation. You're going to write the letter. You're going to say that you didn't see the thing that you saw. And the camera, we're outside. We're looking at her. And as she walks away and swipes at a frame, the camera kind of pans up and we see the two of them kind of making out in the window. The curtain is just fluttering like an insane thing. And my wife says, I wonder what poor PA had to be up there shaking that curtain during that scene. So, that's it. You got any other notes?
I do not.
Okay, cool. I will say, I usually write down tropes if there's any tropes that kind of smack me in the face. These are tropes, but they're also period appropriate, so they're not just elements for movies. They're just real life. So instead of titling it tropes, I titled it Things Sean Hates. So the British aristocracy, that whole she can't be in love with him because he's just a poor dude, even though he does have an education, because the old man wanted him, who we never do meet the old man. He's just a name. But that whole thing, it drives me crazy. I've been reading a lot of Ken Follett books recently. Well, not recently, within the last few years. And it's all about that stuff. It drives me crazy.
Status.
Yes. Yeah. Sexual accusations. Basically, at the beginning of this movie reminded me of why I stopped watching Law & Order SVU with my wife.
I was in that motherfucker.
I know you were. I know you were. Yes, in case if you weren't with us last time when Will was on, I was watching an episode of SVU, and all of a sudden, the credits opening dunk dunk noise, and also I'm like, "There's Will," and you were the guy what was making out with girlfriend and found the body, and then that's where the story went from there. And I was like, "Hey,
really, really challenging work."
Yeah, make out with a pretty girl and then find a body. So.
Yeah, she was 14 in real life, so that's weird.
You are lying, right?
No, her mom had to be on set.
Really?
Yeah. There was
she had to sign off on it.
Legal documents involved. Most uncomfortable thing I've ever done.
Yeah, because you were like 19 or 20 at the time, right? No, you had a 20.
No, I was 22.
22. Yeah, that's weird. Oh.
Yeah, no, trust me. I was uncomfortable.
I know you were. I'm uncomfortable for you. Gosh. Okay.
It's a job, man.
I know. Somebody told you to do the thing, and you did the thing. You did your job. But okay. Time for a few clips. I have a few clips. Usually the clips that I try to pull, I try to find some humor. There's not a lot of humor in this movie. So honestly, most of the clips are me trying to understand what they're saying. So there you go. But I did like this line here.
We're guests in this house, and what did the parents say we were to make ourselves? Well, Piero?
Amenable.
Jackson?
Amenable.
Amenable. That's right.
I like that. I don't know why. I thought those two little boy actors did a pretty good job. I mean, they don't have much.
Twins.
Yeah, they don't have much to do, and this is like kind of their it, right? Because when you click on them for IMDb, it's their pictures in this movie.
They're literally hopping men, like in real life. Not that they hop, but so I guess they're not literal hopping men. But we've seen them in this, and we don't know where they went after that.
Well, they got
now all of a sudden I'm the weird one, Sean.
the hopping man trope is a mechanism we use for the podcast where if we are introduced a thing and then we have zero resolution, it's considered a hopping man, and that dates back to the episode of Dark Man that we did, where there was a bad guy, one of the henchmen, who comes in to shoot up whoever they're there to shoot up, and there's supposed to be like a meeting where there's no weapons. And then the guy leans over and he takes off his leg, and it's a machine gun, and they kill all the other people. And then the next time we see him in the movie, he's literally just hopping. He's just standing there hopping, and the guys are using his machine gun leg. But then the next time there's a big fight, we never see him again. We don't know what happened to him. He just disappeared. So anytime we have this moment where we don't know what happened to them, there's no resolution, it's called a hopping man.
Hopping man?
Yeah, so... I mean, I guess, like, we don't ever really find out where the boy, like, here's the problem with when you have a movie that has what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the word, my brain is shot. Not inaccurate, not untruthful. It's someone that's unreliable. Gosh, unreliable. The storyteller is kind of unreliable in the movie because we're getting it through her point of view most of the time. Sometimes then we'll get the context. But I feel like we're only seeing things that she wants us to see, if that makes sense. So I thought from the time we watched it that the note that the boys, and I'm using air quote, that the note as air quote, not the boys, they are boys, that the note that was left, she wrote. She wrote it,
yes,
and then left it on the bed because she was trying to find a way to isolate James McAvoy or something. Like, I couldn't understand the full purpose behind it, but it felt like she hid the boys. She told them to go somewhere to create this moment so that she, in the moment of chaos or whatever, then she could do the thing. And it just so happened that she stumbled upon Benedict Cumberbatch and the redhead girl doing the stuff. So, anyway.
Doing the things.
All right.
Yeah.
Speaking of Benedict... Oh, sorry, Andrew, go ahead.
Well, no, the timeline right there, the timing of that scene where they're searching for the boys... I mean, I guess there was time for her to, or for them to assume that McAvoy's character has done this awful deed and then found the boys. But it seems like those boys are old enough that if he needs an alibi, like, they could say, he was with us. But I don't know. I was just thinking that as I saw that scene.
Well, I mean... Obviously, all the evidence is circumstantial. It's hearsay. It's from a girl that saw something in the dark, and it's corroborated by another girl that doesn't want the guy that actually did it to get in trouble because he is of station and McAvoy is not. And that's why the mom loses her stuff because there's nothing she can do because they're gentry, right? That's the term, gentry? I don't know.
Gentrified.
I don't remember. Our listeners from England they probably hate me right now. I'm sorry. I captured this. This is Cumberbatch saying one word, but it took me 3 times to understand what he said. Again, because I had closed captioning, and this is the word that made me put closed captioning on because I did not understand what he said.
Will you have one?
Oh, there.
Bravo.
See, you thought he said bravo. He says he says rather. R-A-T-H-E-R, rather.
Rather.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
But I had the closed caption on as well. I can't deny that.
Yeah.
But when I heard it, that is not the word that I heard. It said rather.
Yeah.
But I heard bravo.
See, I did too.
And sometimes I wonder if the closed captioning people just get it wrong.
Well, you're not wrong there. I mean, literally, I was on the Sudden But Inevitable podcast 2 weeks ago, right, where I was on for the episode of Firefly called Ariel, and in Firefly they use the word "go ram" as another, as a placeholder for GD or F or whatever, right? And the closed captioning person did not use the word "go ram"; they used the word "grand," GRAND. So, come over here or I'll punch you in the "go ram" head turned into "grand head," and then at the end of the episode, Mal says, "Wash, take us out of the world." The closed captioning said, "Take us out of the rim," or something. It was different. So maybe you're right. Maybe closed captioning got it wrong.
Will you have one?
Rather.
I don't know.
Rather. Or bravo.
I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe there's just a evolution of etymology.
Yeah. I just wish I knew what rather meant. I would rather have one. Is that what he's just shortening it to that? I don't. It just seems like a
maybe
weird word to
if we have a British listener, could you help us out here? Send us an email. Let us know.
Yeah, or a tweet or whatever.
Send us a tweet.
Yeah. Here's a little bit of Hitler talk.
My source at the ministry is very reliable. He used to clean his shoes at Harrow. Informs me we have a good chance of including it in the standard issue ration pack. Which means I'd have to open at least 3 more factories. More if they bring in conscription, which I say is bound to happen if Hitler doesn't pipe down. He's about as likely to do that as buy shares in Marks and Spencer's. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. I love pretentious Benedict Cumberbatch. I'm just sorry. I just love that accent.
He's so good, dude.
Yeah.
He's so good.
By Jove, I think he's got it.
And the reason why that line, I had to figure out what that meant when he said he would have to buy shares in whatever he says, Maxon and whatever. Those are Jewish. It's a Jewish company. That's why that line is funny, because it's a Jewish-owned company. So,
but he just does this thing where he goes so quickly into the vernacular of the matter, and he just jumps right in. And I'm just going to speak as quickly as I possibly can.
And then here's some more of Cumberbatch, because I just like it when he says things.
Oh, Daddy says there's going to be a war.
Your daddy is wrong.
There you go. I like that.
Yeah, you can hear.
That's so creepy.
A little bit of Dormammu there.
A little bit, yeah.
Hey, what he may as well should have said is, "You've got the wrong daddy."
I don't know why I want to keep that. I should have isolated just where he says your daddy is wrong, but I think I'm going to keep this one forever.
Oh, Daddy says there's going to be a war.
Your daddy is wrong.
I just want to keep that part. There was a couple other little vernacular things that they used that I didn't understand what they meant. When we're at the war and they're hanging out in the house attic, and one of the privates, or I guess it was a corporal, which is funny. I thought it was interesting that the guy that was pounding around, not the big black man, but the other dude, was pounding around he was a corporal, and he was treating McAvoy like he was the superior because McAvoy had education, but he called him a toff. And McAvoy says, "And I'm not a toff. I don't know what that means. I didn't look it up, but I don't know what that means." So again, to our British listeners, please help us out. I don't know what that means. Also, please tell me what this means.
Thanks, Briony. You're a real brick.
I don't know what that means. You're a brick. You're a brick house? Jeez, mighty? No? Okay.
You're a brick?
Yeah, you're a brick.
Thanks, Briony. You're a real brick.
A brick. I mean,
I think it just means you're solid.
Is that what that is?
I can lean on you. I can rely on you.
All right. I'm with you. Okay. See? This is 23 seconds of something called Wounded. I don't remember why this is called this. So, mystery clip, here we go.
A few men in yesterday, Luftwaffe blew them to buggery. Lost 3,000 men when they sank Lancaster. High Command, in his infinite wisdom, is denying us air cover. Disgrace, disaster.
Look, the thing is, you see, I'm expected back, you see.
There's over 300,000 men on this beach, Private. You have to wait your turn. It'd be great if you're not wounded. I'd orders to leave the wounded behind.
That's why I remember.
It's the beginning of Dunkirk.
I I'm sure that was probably historically accurate, but my God, the idea that he was given orders from on high to leave the wounded just seems insane to me. And it seems more insane he would tell a private that, because that's the kind of thing that gets a mutiny. Just that kind of news spreads around, and it feels like fights break out and officers get killed, in my opinion. Sorry.
The only thing I wonder is at this point in that war, if there was a candle to the wind a little bit, all the rule book went out the window.
Possibly.
Especially there, I mean, waiting on the beach for however long that they have to wait,
Yeah, and
some of them have given up hope. Some of them have just given up on life.
Well, and the British, the army is basically saying, German tanks are a couple of miles away. We need to get the 300,000 that can fight again off the beach, and if that means leaving 5,000 there to die or to become prisoners, it's back to the whole greater good part. So I get it. It's not something that should be said out loud. It's kind of part of my point. But again, I understand. The last thing I know, again, we're running really late, but there's a lot to talk about with this movie, and that's so as McAvoy he's dying at the there's a moment where I'm misremembering now. There's a moment where there's a memory that's being happened, right, and the lens goes soft, right. The image is soft, and I can't remember what it is now. Where that was? They used they literally put pantyhose over the lens to make it soft. I can't remember that scene, but anyway, my point is that I don't know what my point is. It just sucks that he died on the beach. Is what my point is. All right, time for this.
And now for some more bad news. Ready?
A couple of little bits of trivia that I haven't already mentioned, including only 8 UK military ambulances from World War II remain, and this movie made use of all of them. Thought that was cool. On the DVD commentary, director Joe Wright reveals a lucky fluke that got caught on camera during the scene just before Robbie discovers the schoolgirls' massacre. It's the point where he removes his helmet and the weather was very cloudy. As he looks up at the sky, the sun starts to shine on him and then got cloudy again the moment he puts his head down. I thought that was a director's choice. He's looking up to heaven, he's remembering his his Cecilia, and so he gets a little bit of light, but then he puts his head back down and realizes he's back at this hell. And then it gets dark. It was just an accident. I think that's great. I just love that little stuff. And lastly, Briony's appearance next to the stained glass window featuring Saint Matilda may also be a reference to the saint's status as the patron saint of falsely accused people.
Yeah, that's cool.
There you go. Time for this.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
Time for top 3. Andrew? Oh, I guess I should tell you what the top 3 is movies with authors or writers. Right? That's what we said. Yeah. Movies with writers. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I have, I guess, a really great movie that I didn't like. Well, I won't say I didn't like. A really great movie that I didn't really know about until we watched it for this, and that was Shakespeare in Love.
Yeah. Yeah, great one, yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to include in this top 3 Saving Mr. Banks.
Okay.
As number 2. And then number 1, a really great movie, especially as a teacher. This includes several writers, and that's the movie Freedom Writers.
Okay. I've never seen that.
Oh, it's a good one.
Okay.
Wilmington, North Carolina.
Yeah. Her name just left me. I had it in my head. Anyway.
All right. Will?
My number one, actually, I'll start from the bottom. My number 3 is Barton Fink.
All right.
My number 2 is Misery.
Yeah. Gosh. Ugh.
And my number 1 is Adaptation.
Have we seen that?
Nick Cage, Meryl Streep.
Cover of the poster is a potted plants fallen over and broken, right?
Oh, yeah. No, I've never seen that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Charlie Kaufman film.
Interesting. Huh. All right. Very cool. I posed this question to our social media accounts. I was received messages back in the form on Facebook from a good friend of mine, Kira Berry, who says Stranger Than Fiction with Will Ferrell.
Great movie.
Kalia, who was on a few weeks ago with Pages and Popcorn, said Misery. Friend of ours, Andrew, Dave Saliba, said Secret Window with Johnny Depp.
Also a great movie.
It is a good movie.
Yeah.
I like that movie a lot too. And also a friend of the show who was on more than a few weeks ago, a while ago, and will join us again soon in May, I think. Melissa Apple is As Good as It Gets.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That is good.
Why can't I place the author in that? Was it Meryl Streep?
As Good as It Gets? Wasn't it wasn't
Diane Keaton?
I thought Helen Hunt was the lead.
Helen Hunt.
Helen Hunt?
Yeah,
Okay. Yes. We did that for the podcast.
Amanda Peet, Jack Nicholson, that movie?
Could be. Was Amanda Peet in it? I don't remember seeing her boobs. She shows her boobs in everything she's ever been in.
Remember her by her boobs.
I don't know. Well, I mean, she shows them in everything she's in.
I'll show you mine right now.
Oh, that's good. I've actually seen yours. Well,
that's usually how my wife gets my attention when she wants me to remember something.
And then on Twitter, Jesse from the Sudden But Inevitable podcast, who will be on with us next week, also said Secret Window. And he said Sinister, which I've not seen, and Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Who's the author in Fear and Loathing?
I don't know. I've actually never seen Fear and Loathing. So, I don't know. But when I did a Google search for this topic, that movie came up every time. So,
if you do watch Fear and Loathing, you're going to be so high, you're not going to remember it.
Oh, interesting. I'm going to get
That's the point of that movie.
Like, I'm going to get a contact high from watching it? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. My 3 are, I went kind of silly on the first one with Romancing the Stone.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it's fun. I also did Shakespeare in Love, and then my number 1, I did Finding Forrester. That's what it is. I wrote Finding Fisher, but that's not it. Finding Forrester. Yes. Yeah. Sean Connery.
You didn't say Finding Neverland.
Forrester
I love
was directed by God, who directed that? He directed a show I watch. Anyway, great movie.
Yeah. Gus Van Sant.
Sean Connery.
Gus Van Sant wrote it or directed it.
Yes, Von Sant. Yeah.
Or Von Sant.
Sorry, a few other films that I was saving because I didn't know if anybody would mention them. But there's one called Mary Shelley that came out just a few years ago that tells it's kind of a biographical film in a way. And then there's another one called Midnight in Paris, which
that's a Woody Allen film with Owen Wilson and that's a great film.
It's really good, and it actually mentions several authors in that film.
Right.
That's kind of the whole point of that movie, actually.
Yeah.
I wonder about movies about like fictional authors, like about time or films where you find places that you have characters that are writing something that's totally fictional. Does that apply, or are we talking about the real stuff?
I guess in the vein of this top three, I think it would go for any, right? Because was Briony Tallis a real person?
No.
I know that Atonement, the movie, is based on Atonement, the book, but that's all fiction. So I don't think that it, again, for this top three, I think that's perfectly fine. I mean, gosh, Romancing the Stone, that's, there's nothing very real about that movie other than how much I love it. And I love the escape on the little mule Pepe. Anyway, time for this.
Well, that's another
podcast
conversation to have.
Well, we did.
Is favorite books.
Oh, favorite books, you said?
Favorite books that have been turned into movies.
Interesting. Have we done that?
We could do that.
Well, I don't know if we've done that or not. I don't know.
I think we have, but I can't remember.
We probably have as a top three.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure we have in a movie or as a top three. We've not. In fact, I'm 99% confident we've done that one, which is good. It's always a fun category because I'm actually going to be on a podcast coming up in June or July. I can't remember. Where the podcast where you literally read the book and then watch the movie and compare and contrast the two. And so the book and movie that we'll be doing will be Minority Report. We're going to do the...
Oh, shit.
Yeah, we'll do the short story by Philip K. Dick and then the movie by Spielberg. So that'll be good. Looking forward to that on Pages and Popcorn podcast. All right, I'm going to play this clip again.
Wait, what's supposed to happen?
Out of 10, we're going to give this movie a score from 0 to 10. 10 being the best, 0 being rubber. And I'm going to just give a little primer and say, primer? We're in America. Maybe it's primer. Whatever. IMDb gave it a 7.8. So maybe that helps you. Maybe it hurts you. I don't know. Andrew, you go first.
Yeah. So again, like I said, I think that the film is well done. I think it's as filmmaking is concerned, I think it's very well made and truly a piece of art. If I were trying to redo it to make me, to make me like it better, I don't know what I would change, but I just know that I didn't connect with it in an emotional sense as far as the storytelling and just watching these characters develop. But I do appreciate the way the story was told in those cutscene, flashbacks and sort of time jumping that we mentioned. So I'm going to give this, I'm going to say probably about a 6.8 out of 10.
Okay. No problem. 6.8. What you got, Will? Oop.
I love being in the venue with somebody who is a little more critical than me. I tend to jump into really feeling like if I feel it, I feel it. And this one I feel. So I'm going to give this 8.3.
All right.
Because of emotionality.
Sure. So I mentioned this a while ago because we've been recording for a while now. And I realized as we were doing our now that I didn't really fully flesh out why I was pissed. Because we didn't really get a chance to talk about it. So when the credits rolled, I looked at my wife and she looked at me and she says, I am really mad right now at this movie. And I said, I am too. And the reason why I was mad, not because the characters died, not because we were given a false narrative that they lived happily ever after. I'm okay with that. To me personally, and again, on the first viewing, the second viewing, I had a little bit different reaction. But on the first viewing, I was mad at old lady Briony that she uses the phrase, "I gave them their happiness." And to me, it felt like a way of kind of copping out to what she's responsible for. In my opinion, she is 100% responsible for their deaths. She is responsible for that and for effectively ruining their lives. But because she wrote the story, a happy ending, to give the reader hope, it feels like she's absolving herself of that sin, in my opinion.
Atoning
for her sin. Thank you for bringing it around. The second time I watched it, when I was pulling the clip for the whatever, I had more of a sadness about it, that she was just really sad about the thing, and she has lived with this guilt for her whole life, and maybe that's why she's not... there's no evidence that she's married, but I don't think she is. You don't see a wedding ring or anything, so she's lived this life alone, and she's poured her life into her work, into these novels, and so I had a little bit of a sadness to it. So, I mean, am I way off base with being kind of mad at Briony, thinking she's kind of the villain of the movie? And I know I'm kind of being mean and throwing that at the end of the podcast, but
well, no, I don't think you're off course there. But at the same time, I look at it from a child's perspective as well, because even though this is her fault, she, like I said at the beginning, as a child, I guess she does know at some point that it wasn't him, and she could have come forward. But again, she's a child, and she's scared at this point. What happens if she comes forward? And I think there's stories like that happen today, in today's society, that are very similar. There are kids that witness things all the time and don't come forward because they're afraid, or they don't know what's going to happen. And so in some aspects, I was very angry with her, but on the other hand, I felt bad for her.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's a young kid who's making a big mistake, and at the end of the day, you could have been better off rolling through, the frozen tundra of emotionalism and saying, I screwed up. I'm the one. But she never did that. And yeah, so I have beef with her personally. I really do. But had she forgiven herself, I'd been okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, there's a lot to dissect in this movie, and I almost feel like we only really scratched the surface in the hour and 40 minutes we've been talking. With that all having been said, though, I'm going to give it a score of... you know what? I like the IMDb ranking. I'm going to give it a 7.8. It's a really great film. I mean, it's truly... I don't use the word great very often when it comes to movies. I get a little annoyed when people are like, oh, that Transformers movie was great. No, it was fun. It wasn't great. There was nothing great about it, except the visual effects were great. But no. So whenever I use the word is great, I mean, again, I love Extraction. I don't think it's a great movie. I think it's a lot of fun, and that one shot is great. But that's mostly because of the Russo brothers and Chris Hemsworth. But otherwise, good, fun movie, not great. This movie, not fun, but great. And it is, many people need to watch it. There you go. That's it. I have nothing more to say. I've run out of words, and frankly, energy and and time. This was so much fun. Oh my gosh, Will, thank you so much for being back on the show. It was great.
Always, my brother. Always. Whenever you want me, I'm here. Okay.
Well, you said that the other day on Facebook, and I'm or in Twitter or text, not Twitter, but in text. I'm gonna hold you to it. You're gonna become the with the Justin Timberlake of the podcast. We're just gonna keep having you back on, and I think it'll be good personally, but I don't know. Maybe you'll get sick of me. But while you're waiting for Will to come back on, go to our website, cheapseatreviews.libsyn.com. Libsyn.com is how you can get all of our old episodes, including the last episode that Will was on, where we did the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. So I think Will making me watch through such an emotional roller coaster that this movie is his payback for making him watch that movie. Facebook.com/CheapSeatReviews. At CheapSeatCast is where you can find us on Twitter. We're on Instagram. Cheapseat Reviews, I think, is our Instagram account. I don't know. I actually do post stuff there now. It's kind of fun. Next week, we are doing Road to Perdition. Jesse Bailey from the Sudden But Inevitable podcast will be joining us for that. Looking forward to that. It's going to be a lot of fun. Another hard movie about some hard subjects, though there is a little bit of humor. I remember in the montage there being some humor. That's going to do it. Emails is cheapseatreviews@gmail.com. Please send us your emails. That's going to do it. On behalf of Will and Andrew, this is Sean saying thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll see you next week.
This is Cheap Seat Reviews.